Well, welcome back. Thank you very much. We've now got a recorded session. The title is Higher Education Thought Leadership. And this is a presentation by a number of individuals at universities in Ireland and the work that they've been doing over the last few years on driving neurodiversity at their universities and driving thought leadership around the world in various areas such as mental health and neurodiversity in the legal system. I've been working with them for a couple of years now on this, and this video gives a summary of the work that they've completed, which I think you'll find very interesting. So please cue the video. Thank you.
Hi there, my name is Ken Kilbride and I'm the CEO of ADHD Ireland. And thank you for coming along to this session today at the Autism at Work conference. We really appreciate your interest and very importantly, your time. In framing this session, we've taken on board the conference team of Building Capability. And indeed, over the next 30 minutes or so, we hope to show you how we built this partnership and how it delivers a wide range of activities across the area of neurodiversity. As an outline of this partnership, it's made up of different organisations from all around the world with different organisation structures, such as my own organisation, ADHD Ireland, which is a small charity, and we employ about 5 people, to the University College Dublin, or simply better known as UCD, which has around 35,000 students. Organisations in this partnership also include the University of Ireland Youth, and Dr. Ethan Quigley is their representative on this group. Fortunately can't be here today, but does extend her apologies. Charlotte Valeur represents IAM, which is the Institute of Neurodiversity. From UCD, we have Blanaid Gavin, Timmy Frawley, and Beth Kilkenny, and someone I'm sure you all know very well already, Andrew Eddy from Untapped. As ADHD Ireland is one of the smaller organisations in this partnership, I've been given the privilege of going first. For us, we represent those with ADHD, and we work with all those that work with people with ADHD. Indeed, our mission statement is to make life better for all those affected by ADHD. So as our team is small and the remit and the task is rather large, we have adopted the strategic view of working in partnerships with organisations, and that also does something else very important for us, which is add credibility to our activities. And we'll talk about it a little bit in a second. And so for us, it gives us a wonderful sense of opportunity to be involved in a project like this, because simply for a scale involved in an organisation like ADHD, we would simply never be able to deliver these, let alone get them off the ground. So for us, it's a huge opportunity to extend our remit and our mission by being involved in a partnership such as this. And let's say the credibility that this partnership has given has also worked very well for us. And within that, we've been able to extend that partnership with UCD, and we've been able to deliver a whole range of other activities. We'll talk more about the range of activities delivered through this partnership later. But we've also been able to work with other departments in UCD because of the credibility that this group has given us. So, for instance, very recently with the Minister for Mental Health here in Ireland, we would have launched an app for adults with ADHD. So this was designed and delivered by UCD with the HSE, which is the Health Service Executive, which is the public health service in Ireland. To date, we've had over 5,000 downloads. But the big thing about that app was we were able to use students from UCD to help design it. And as part of that, we used the concept of nothing for us without us. And so again, at 3 points within that process, we were able to go out to people with ADHD to design the app, to review the app, and to finally get it published. We've also developed something called UMAP, which is the Understanding and Managing Adult ADHD program. So that's basically a workshop program for adults with ADHD, which allows them to self-manage it as well. We've also been able to do lots of other initiatives there as well, such as, we're involved in a project that's scoping out the supports for all students with ADHD across Ireland. And as part of that, we're doing a survey. And I know Timmy will talk a little bit later about the survey that's been done within UCD as part of that activity to become a neuro-friendly organisation. And I say, over the past number of years, this group has been involved in delivering online conferences with world-leading speakers. We've also delivered a monthly series, what we call our masterclass, and Beth was going to talk a little bit about that later. And again, for that, we will, source recruit, and we've had absolutely no challenges whatsoever in getting thought leaders from around the world to get engaged in that process. But again, we've also, as I say, through that partnership, we've been active in delivering, the partnership, rather than saying just myself, has been active in delivering other things, such as, working to ensure UCD as a university becomes one of the first universities to become a neurodiversity campus. We've also been working on other things around that in terms of developing a module and certificate for neurodiversity. So again, it's a huge, wide range of activities that this partnership has been delivering, and we hope to explain that to you over the next 30 minutes or so. So within that, I would like to go to our first contributor, and that is Andrew Eddy. So Andrew, just before we maybe you talk about the work that you've been doing with the partnership, I say the theme for this conference is building capability for employees and employers. And I know your organization Untapped worked in that area. So could you maybe just give us a bit of context of the area that you work in, and then if you could tell us about your work with the partnership.
Yeah, thanks, Ken. Yes, so we work with organisations that understand the power of diversity, the importance of diversity, but maybe haven't done anything in the area of neurodiversity. So they've looked at gender and ethnicity and culture and so on, but a new area that they're now looking at as another source of different thinking is neurodiversity. So we work with them and assist them on that journey to really take the business forward and unlock that untapped potential of neurodivergent individuals. So my first contact with the team at UCD was back in July 2020. When I met with all the team here, they told me they were keen to promote discussion and activity around neurodiversity in the university, and asked if I could organise an international conference to drive interest. My response was that I didn't have the resources to do that, but I would be happy to work with them to organise something. So we started with the idea of a half-day virtual conference, and we set about identifying potential speakers. However, there was a lot of interest amongst the people we contacted, and so we ended up with enough speakers and panellists to fill 2 days. The conference was called Neurodiversity, a Paradigm Shift in Higher Education and Employment, and it ran on the 3rd and 4th of December 2020. The aim of the conference was to start a strength-based conversation about neurodiversity in third-level institutions and amongst employers. The sessions included speakers from Ireland, the UK, USA, Australia, Italy, and the Netherlands, including Judy Singer, talking about the fundamentals of the neurodiversity concept, Dr. Damien Milton about the problems of double empathy, Beth Radulski and her lived experience at university as a student and then as a PhD candidate, Professor Sarah Rankin around supporting staff and students, Corona Rankin on supporting neurodivergent postgraduate art and design students, Dr. Mary Rose Sweeney on creating an autism-friendly campus, Laurie Ackles and the Spectrum Support Program at Rochester Institute of Technology in the US, Professor Lawrence Fung and the Stanford Neurodiversity Project, Dr. Simon Bury from La Trobe University on mental health, Peter Matthews on the Be Your Best Academy Life Skills Training, Irene Talento from the University of Rome on inclusive built environments, Professor Suzanne Bruyere from Cornell University on neuro-inclusive workplaces, Nancy Doyle from Genius Within on intersectional inclusion, Marcia Shiner and the Integrated Advisors Employer Connect program, Charlene Chang on neurodiversity and entrepreneurship, and sessions on assistive technologies. It was an amazing team effort, and it was completely with no funding and just utilising the university's Zoom license, and just a heap of effort from all involved. The conference had over 500 registrations, which at the time really amazed us. Recordings of the majority of the sessions remain available on the UCD website. So I'll now pass back to you, Ken. Thank you.
No, thanks for that. Obviously, just, I say, it was one of the points I would have made there myself. So, the conference, not saying mushroomed is the wrong way of putting it, but in terms of, the interest, there was a huge appetite and interest there for the conference. Just in terms of your own work experience, And the theme of the conference here today being building capability for employers and employees. Has things got better for people with neurodiversity in the workplace over the last number of years?
I don't think so yet. I think we're on the journey. I think we've got some awakening interest and awareness happening, but I think we've got a long way to go. There's just a long way to go to realize that this is not about neurodivergent individuals changing and fitting in. This is about the whole workplace changing and becoming a more inclusive place.
Okay, well, thanks very much. And just a quick reminder that, and I know it was a very impressive list of speakers that you read out there, and all those videos are available, and we'll maybe just give the link for that a little bit later. We're going to have a chat now with Timmy. So good, Timmy, how are you? Welcome. In terms of one of the practical things we talked about there in terms of on-the-ground initiatives, one of the things we know that we have been working on was, a program to assist UCD to become a neurodiversity-friendly campus. And then there was a module and a certificate for neurodiversity around that. But one of the big impressive things, and we've been talking about partnership here today, and we can sort of give you the credit for the vast majority of this, is that there's a huge range of stakeholders, not only in UCD that are involved in this, but you've been managed to bring in stakeholders from outside UCD to get this project up and running. So could you maybe just tell us a bit about the project and how you brought everybody together on this?
Sure. And of course, the project wouldn't be possible without a number of key contributions, including the people within this core group. But we also established with the Equality, Diversity and Inclusion Unit, a neurodiversity working group across the entire university was established, led by actually Dr. Blanaid Gavin, who's here on the panel. And through the university working group, we were able to leverage that and engage with a wider group in society. So a number of organisations, including ADHD Ireland, the Dyslexia Association of Ireland, and a number of other non-governmental organisations are contributing and I guess not just involved, but are actually participating in the design of the work. So I think involving representative organisations has been really important. But also in terms of the project, the Making University College Dublin, UCD, Making UCD a neurodiversity friendly campus, we have been able to engage with a number of students, both past and present, who identify as neurodivergent. So by dint of that, we've been able to really inform the design and conceptualization of the work. And of course, there's actually a number of organizations, I've mentioned just a couple who are engaged in this. But with the support of the Equality, Diversity and Inclusion Unit in UCD, we were able to apply for university seed funding. And this seed funding has enabled us to employ a research assistant, which has proven very useful in driving forward the project. So what is the project? Specifically, we have a scoping review, which is seeking to look at current evidence in terms of what interventions work in a university campus, what are the attitudes and perspectives of people towards neurodiversity. And I think importantly, we're looking at both the experience of staff and students, because of course, universities are major employers. And I know Andrew just spoke about the journey that we're all on in terms of employment. So the student experience is key and is central, but also, of course, staff needs to be looked at as well. So we've undertaken a university-wide survey, and we have our data collected now. We're just beginning to analyze those responses. So we feel there's going to be a lot of very useful data and very useful insights flowing forward from that. We also are undertaking interviews with staff and students to get their qualitative perspectives on what's working, what can be improved. So there is an element of a strengths-based approach there. We're also trying to look at where the the gaps, if you will, but where are the opportunities to build on any of the good work that's happening. We're also intending to undertake a sensory audit of the campus, both the physical campus, but also the virtual environment, because as we learned during the COVID-19 pandemic, the virtual world is key there within that as well. But of course, we've been looking at the NICE guidelines and looking at a number of different sources as to how the campus, the built environment, can have a big impact on people as well. So what's really enthusing us about the project, I think, is the fact that we're looking at all aspects of neurodifference. We're looking at, and I don't want to list different experiences per se, but sometimes a number of areas aren't always thought of as much maybe as others. So I think that's good that we're able to elicit views and perspectives in that regard as well. So that's just a little bit on the project, Ken. I could tell you a little bit about the certificate and diploma as well.
Yeah, please. But just to say one thing, you know, we had a meeting very recently on the neurodiversity friendly campus, and I'm not just saying it just for myself, but I was really impressed with the numbers that took part in the survey.
Yes, I mean, excuse me, we've had well over 1,000 responses, and in an era where survey responses are typically lower than what they might have been in the past, we're very pleased with this, and it is going to provide us with a rich insight. And certainly we've been really, I won't say overwhelmed, but we have been heartened. We've been heartened by the number of people coming forward, wanting to contribute and wanting to engage, both as participants and sharing their perspectives, but also, as you say, a number of charities external to the university, but also university departments, from estates all the way through to access, all the way through to various academic departments that one mightn't think of initially, but there's a whole host of people coming forward to support this work. And I think it is part of a wider inclusion and an ethos of inclusion, which we're seeing in universities and in society now. But I think neurodiversity and neurodifference is an area which perhaps hasn't been to the fore of the conversation, but I have a feeling and a viewpoint that this is changing now, and neurodifference and neurodiversity is definitely part of the conversation.
Oh, David, thanks for that. And I say you were just mentioning there before I jumped in about the certificate and diploma.
Yes, and I mean, credit must go to Blanaid for this. But a number of people have been involved, including myself. We've been very fortunate to have many excellent contributors, including Charlotte, who is speaking on a workshop day next week. I know Andrew has contributed, Ken, you've contributed. And one of the things about neurodiversity is that we want to arrive at a situation where people, whether they're working or not working, but in particular, various professional groups, could be early childhood care and education, it could be my own area, the mental health services, it could be the wider health services, from occupational therapy through to speech and language therapy, through to public health medicine. All of these areas are areas that everyone in society, we all come into contact with, we all engage with and interact with. Unfortunately, there hasn't been enough awareness and knowledge and understanding of the particular needs of people who are neurodifferent, people who identify as neurodivergent. So raising awareness and understanding is key. And the course seeks to do just that. We have a module, Understanding Neurodiversity. We also have a module, Neurodiversity in Society. So of course, the underpinning philosophy is that of ability and looking at how society can adjust, how society needs to change in order to be inclusive. But equally as part of that, I guess raising the profile of neurodifference, raising the profile of neurodiversity, and looking at key areas such as relationships, social and societal debates, looking at the work of people like Damien Milton, looking at legal frameworks, looking at intersectionality, with gender being a particular topic. I know that's something we were looking at just this week. So all of these areas, I think, need to be unpacked, and we need to arrive at a situation where, and the course isn't just for professionals, I really want to emphasize this, but I know, coming from a mental health service background myself, as a clinician, I would have benefited from more understanding and more knowledge. So this is what we want to do. We want to spread that word, we want to spread that information, so that when people are interacting with various services and supports, the people that they're meeting with will have that awareness and understanding.
Well, thanks very much, Timmy, for giving us a great outline of that, in terms of the practical initiatives that have come out of this partnership that are now being delivered, particularly through UCD. So, Charlotte, how are you? And you're going to tell us about the conferences 2 and 3. Or maybe before we actually do that, I have to admit I'm intrigued by the name Institute of Neurodiversity. So you can tell us a little bit about that first.
Thank you. Well, it really came. So I'm autistic and have ADHD, and went very public with it some years ago. And with a handful of other neurodivergent people, we felt that there isn't enough places where we can come together as a community. There hasn't really been enough focus on that. So we started the Institute of Neurodiversity to bring 1 million neurodivergent people and our allies together before the end of 2025, and daily in 100 different countries. So we have quite a lofty ambition. We have 10,000 people by now. We are opening up in 18 countries, and that's a little over a year after we have launched. So I think we're doing okay on that. With that, we were delighted to have conversations. I started with Blanaid and Andrew to come into this partnership, and you all welcomed us in, which we were super happy with, to be able to also draw on the research and all the pieces, the masterclasses, everything was exactly the part of what an institute should have as well. So that's feeding in and leading for what we call our RDPU, or Research Professional Development Unit, as a significantly important step. So this was great. So we are working ahead. It's very much sort of by neurodivergent people, for neurodivergent people, with our allies being great supporters. So with this, the conferences, as we talked about for last year, was neurodiversity and the legal system, and working sort of towards equality for all. And that was a really important subject for us, both like employment law, for example, how we protect it at work when something goes wrong. And a lot goes wrong, unfortunately, with a lot of us, because we're misunderstood generally in society and also at work. So really, to build our capabilities, needed our voice to be a key part. We really, just like other minority groups, we really don't want non-minority people talking about our experience. We want to have our voice in there ourselves. So the conference talking about the legal system was a really important one, we felt. And the objective was really to facilitate an exchange of sort of cutting-edge academic discourse, policy and practice initiatives, and then add in this lived experience at the core of it. And that's what we try to do with everything. And this partnership is really helping us to have this collaboration across different opportunities. And we really, really appreciate that. So that was a great event, with over 2 days, with a number of high-level speakers, great subjects for discussion. And again, we have most of them were videoed and are available on the UCD website to look at people's leisure.
And thanks for that. Just very quickly, just for yourself, much the same question we were putting to Andrew earlier. Do you feel things are getting better for people with neurodiverse conditions?
I think it's getting more transparent. I think we still need the next step. So we are still, unfortunately, at the awareness step, and we're looking towards acceptance and much more inclusion. For example, we have a lot of employment initiatives in different workplaces, which are great. often specifically for autistic people. But if they haven't already dealt with the autistic people they have within the organization, then it's not really so helpful for new employments to come in. I mean, diversity without inclusion really is an illusion, right? And we're not going to really survive in the businesses that are not also already working within the people they have. Most business can be absolutely sure they have at least 20% neurodivergent people within their employment group, and they need to really work, have employment resource groups, and all these kind of things to underpin what we do to help us bring the utmost of our capabilities to the table. And I think that's the one thing that's missing a bit. So don't just have autistic employment programs. Make sure that you have a space for them to come into, or for us to come into, once we get hired in that sense. So yes and no is the answer to that, a bit like what Andrew said.
Again, probably people can't see my banner behind me, but it now says support, education and acceptance. That's a recent change we made from support, education and awareness. We would see ourselves moving towards acceptance as well.
Yeah.
But thanks to yourself and Andrew there having a little chat about the conferences. And one of the challenges, you do have conferences, you go, look, oh great, we've done the conference, we've had these world leading speakers. What do we do with all this materials? What do we do with next? We're lucky we have Beth. So again, I'd have to say, I've been doing other conferences, but Beth is wonderful. It's very simple. Beth will tell us, when we need to turn up, what we need to do, and everything's organized. It's absolutely wonderful. We simply couldn't do much without having Beth. But one of the things we have been doing, and another initiative we have developed out of this is the masterclass series. And we had one yesterday, Beth. So could you tell us a bit more?
Yes, well, thank you, Ken, for those very kind words. And it's nice of you to say that, but everything absolutely is a team effort, and nothing could happen without anybody on the call. So it's important to say that. So the masterclass series, so they run on the fourth Thursday of every month, and they've been running since February 2021. And they initially started, they developed on from the first conference that we did in 2020. And we had a lot of speakers at that conference, as Andrew outlined, and we really wanted to kind of create a space to kind of have a deeper dive into some of that content, some of those conversations. So to allow, to give a block of an hour's time to allow people to present, and then to facilitate a Q&A with the audience, which just wasn't possible in the time limits of the conference. So it was just to kind of to open out the conversation. And I think the important thing about the masterclass, as well as creating that, as well as having those conversations once a month, is that we wanted to provide a resource and a kind of bank of information, of knowledge that people could revert back to. So it's important for us to kind of continue with the online. We kind of started doing everything online, I think, because of the pandemic, and we had to. But I think we've decided that it's good to keep everything online, even though we could move to kind of an in-person or a hybrid model, because it really opens out your audience. And it means then that everything is online, we can record it and we can make it available on the website. So it's there for people to go back to at any time if people aren't available at the time, or if they want to go back and look at something again. So we do have, the masterclass has reached thousands of people on a live, on the live basis, but we also, we literally have had thousands of people watching back the videos that are available on the website.
We have fantastic reviews of that from our members. They all love it. There's so many of them that are just continuously using them. So this is a significant addition to getting awareness out there. So yeah. And online is great because that's the way we can do it publicly and globally, right?
Yeah, it makes it accessible, and it makes it, obviously even much wider reach. So it's really important to continue with that, I think.
So we were just saying there, Beth, all those resources are currently online. Would you be able to give it just if someone's looking to find them, how you'd search for them, or what's the?
I think the easiest thing to do is if people just Google IONRDPU, which is Institute of Neurodiversity Research Development Unit, or something close to that. Then you'll get a link to our Eventbrite page, and within that, there's links to register to upcoming events, and also you get a link to the videos that are online as well.
So just it's IONRDU.
RDPU.
Oh, okay, excuse me, RDPU. And if someone was looking at this talk today and said, I'd love to have a chat with these guys, how would they get in contact with us?
You can email chas@ucd.ie, that's chas@ucd.ie, and I will be on the end of that email address, happy to take any queries. Yeah.
So chas@ucd.ie for more information.
Yeah.
Just in terms of the project, I have to say, I was doing it, this was pre-COVID, and I was doing a talk, and I was talking about, the beginning of this, and I said, Blanaid Gavin had contacted me. I said I didn't have ADHD, but it took me all of 2.5 seconds to go, yes, we need to be involved in this. If you were to take the analogy that this is a bicycle, and we're all spokes on that bike, in the middle of that hub is Blanaid Gavin. So I have to say, Blanaid's recruited us all, and Blanaid came up with the idea, and I'm not saying driving force, because as Beth was saying, we all work on it, but one of the constants there in terms of getting things up and running has been Blanaid. So how are you, Blanaid? Could you maybe give us your view of how it's been going and what's the concept behind it all?
Thanks, Ken. I'd be delighted to give my tuppence worth, and thanks for the kind words. So in essence, I think what's behind it all is a really, really authentic desire to reach out and spread the word in terms of neurodiversity. And if you were to ask me what has made this work, it's the authenticity of the concept and the group of people involved. And I couldn't emphasize strongly enough, and anybody I think out there interested, that it's just such a brilliant group of people. And that has been my experience across the world the whole time with this process, that anyone that I've had the good fortune to meet, and Andrew has been exceptional in his generosity in terms of introducing us and helping us to reach out. And I think that spirit behind the whole movement is really what underpins it and sustains it. So we've had opportunities, and as Beth mentioned there, the one of the silver linings, and I know there weren't many, of COVID was the whole opening up of the world for us in this virtual format. And I think it was just really timely. It was just one of those things that happened at the right time in terms of what we were trying to do. And people were just so welcoming, wanting to come on board, as everybody has mentioned there, with the various initiatives, talks, generous with their time, their ideas, and their experiences. And I think that's what has been the driving force in terms of us exceeding our own individual capacities, and probably being more than the sum of its parts as an entity. So that's how I'd say it, and I would very much say to that, onwards and upwards. So anybody out there that wants to join, be a part, or help us, because again, as many of the panel have said, with the start of the journey, we're learning, we don't get it all right, but we're very, very happy to have as many people as possible on board with us. So that's my sense of things. So thanks to everybody.
I have to say, I echo everything you would say there. And I have to say, just one thing I did note over the last couple of years, particularly working with Andrew, is that, when we have been talking about building the partnership and talking with anybody, Andrew always goes, oh yeah, I have them in my black book already, I'll chat to them for you. Just in terms of sticking on time today, we need to wrap up in the next few minutes. So just before we do so, I just want to see if any of our contributors here would have any final comments they'd like to bring to the table.
Could I just finally just mention about the journal that has come about from this group, really, with Sage Publishing, that Blanaid had already started working on certain before we came to the table, and that's now coming out here within the next 3 months and launched. And we've done a lot of work on editorial board and editors, and with having a 50-50 neurodivergent, non-neurodivergent, editorial board and input of research. So that's something to keep an eye out for. And of course, our next conference about mental health and neurodiversity, which is the 25th, 26th of May, should also be great.
Okay, we say that, as I say, we've done a lot, but lots more on the way as well. So I appreciate that. So thank you very much, Charlotte, and thank you very much for everybody for coming along today. Thanks to everybody for listening. As I say, just to very quickly wrap up, Just to say that, we've acknowledged the conference team being building capability for employees and employees. I'd like to think, and I'd like to hope over the last 30 odd minutes or so, we have shown you a very practical example of doing that and building that capability. So I'd have to say, we've done it. Hope you can do it too. And thank you very much for your attention.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that presentation. So that's the end of this session. Before we head off, if we can, we'd appreciate any feedback you might have. You can fill in the session feedback form, which is on the tab on the right of the screen. We're now going to a break, and then we'll be coming back to the next session at 3:45. Thank you.